The Limud Toronto Festival takes place on Sunday, November 21st. Limud features educators, performers, authors, activists, and innovators from around the world. The Limud Festival of Jewish Learning celebrates creativity, diversity, inclusivity, and discussion. Everyone is welcome. All tickets to Limud are pay what you can. Learn more at limud.ca.
Shalom, welcome to Rivkush, a CJN podcast featuring conversations with Jews of color discussing all things Jewish. My name is Rivkush. Today, my guest is Jared Jackson. Jared Jackson, I have to say, is one of the coolest people I know. Never fails to make me laugh, never fails to make me think. Sometimes can get me kind of riled up about some issues. So I'm really thrilled to have him here with us. So let me tell you a little bit about Jared. Jared is the founder and executive director of Jews in All Hues, an education and advocacy organization that builds a world where intersectional diversity and dignity are normative. Jared was born in Philadelphia. He's a multi-heritage Jew. He is internationally renowned for his Jewish diversity leadership. He's a consultant, facilitator, speaker, writer, musician, and entrepreneur. He is an alum of the Salah Leadership Program through Bend the Arc, a Jewish partnership for justice. He also holds a certificate of nonprofit management from LaSalle University and was named one of the Jews that will change the world by the periodical Ma'ariv. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I love your organization.
Thank you.
You know I do. You know I have like how many t-shirts? 3? Something like that?
Yeah, you have 3 t-shirts.
I got mugs.
2 mugs or something like that. Yes.
Yes. Because how could I not? When I saw it, the t-shirt, it was the best. And I think I told you the story of when I was walking, it was at High Holidays last year, a few years ago, and I had got the t-shirt and I was headed over to help set up the building. And I'm walking downtown proudly wearing my t-shirt. And I just loved the looks on people's faces. Like it was the best. So go ahead and tell them what my shirt says.
This is what Jewish looks like.
Exactly. Exactly. And I loved every moment of it because that's truth. It's truth. So tell me, the one thing I've never actually asked you, because I just assumed, it's such an amazing organization and it feels like, oh yeah, it's always been around. It's always been around. But Jared, tell me, what was the genesis of building Jews in All Hues?
So the summer of 2008, I was on this leadership trip, like a literal trip, not like a ego trip. I was on this leadership trip from what was called Leading Up, which formed into the ROI community. But there was this award trip called the Charlie Award. And I met a number of leaders who, after their birthright trips, made significant impacts in their local Jewish communities. And we were from around the world, actually. So there were 15 of us, including Israelis, because you can't have a trip in Israel without Israelis, right?
True.
But they also made significant impact inside of Israel. And at that point, I was meeting all these leaders who had the same issue. They were not only struggling with the same communities where they were leading. I'm not going to say that people were struggling with identities. I didn't get that sense. People were very grounded in who they are, because they're still alive.
Okay.
I'm not going to use past tense in that. Really grounded in their Jewish identities, really grounded in their cultural identities, but also being ostracized by those same communities, either from having some type of non-white background or having the flip of the coin, right? Being a patrilineal Jew,
right,
versus a matrilineal Jew, or just any number of things, or growing up being a Russian Jew inside of Israel, or Mizrahi, all those different things. And at that very same moment, my nieces and nephews were also struggling with their identities inside the United States, growing up in the same town that I grew up in, facing some of the communities that I faced as a kid. And I really didn't want more generations of multi-heritage Jews to go through this.
Right, right.
And so
Can I ask you for the sake of our listeners, can you define the multi-heritage a little? Because for some people they may not get, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And back when we started, it was dual heritage, but we changed it to multi-heritage because that's a little bit more of everything. So the way that we defined it was, and this has evolved over the years, we define it as somebody who has one parent from another religious tradition, one person, somebody who is an adoptee, somebody who is a Jew by choice, keeping in mind that if you're Jew by choice, you are under no obligation to disclose that.
Yes, amen to that.
And that is, it's expanded a little bit, because there are people who have like one Ashkenazi or Sephardi or Mizrahi parent, or or they are Sephardi Mizrahi, Jews of color, in all of our beauty, who face a lot of discrimination in settings that are not of our making. Still settings that we have ownership over, but not of our making. And so multi-heritage really encompasses a lot of those things. Obviously we get pushback every single day, and that's part of it. In entrepreneurial terms, these are the headwinds.
Headwinds. Yes.
It's like, it's the headwinds or the forces that keep you from moving forward or try to keep you
that you keep
forward.
running into and they keep pushing you back.
Yeah. And then the tailwinds propel you. And okay, that's great. And we face many more headwinds than we do tailwind.
Yeah. Tell me some of your challenges with building your group then. Some of those headwinds, other than, the pushback, even in, I guess, the pushback that you get on the definition and which you really shouldn't. The scope is broad and beautiful as it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like there are other groups out there who are, there are other groups out there who are far more restrictive and really try to pigeonhole us in such a way. But tell me some of the pushbacks. Let me keep using that term, headwinds, which when I'm saying it, I'm getting this visual that's kind of messing up my do also, but I'm getting this visual.
Yeah, I mean, most of it has the same ethos, and that's white supremacy. White supremacy is the headwind. And that means the work we do is either dismissed, not taken seriously. Honestly, one of the reasons why I got a master's degree in Jewish nonprofit management at a Jewish seminary was because I needed that accreditation. I needed that piece of paper. I learned a lot, and I'm really thankful for my time at the Zellico School.
Wow. So Jared, when you say white supremacy, and then you tie it into that's the reason that you got your master's, and it's a very specific Jewish master's. And by the way, Mazal Tov, kind of jealous. I want those letters. Anyways, is because of the white supremacy. I'm probably not saying this well, but you kind of get what I'm saying. And you are specifically addressing it within our community.
Yes.
Like to be clear, it's not the community at large. It is about our Jewish community.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you were saying?
Yes. I mean, inside of Jewish community, we've absorbed so much white supremacy that we have basically our own label on that same old can. It has the same manufacturer, but we have made our own brand out of it. I think we even call it Yom Kippur. No.
What?
I'm kidding. Yum as in Y-U-M.
Yeah, because I just kind of fell off my chair a little, right? was going to say too soon, too close to the actual holiday, man.
Oh, well,
I'm just teasing.
it's never too late to repent.
True.
And to be honest, it's one of my favorite holy days. But getting back to the point, white supremacy has got into every aspect of Jewish community. It is inside of children's books, how we teach Hebrew, how we used to teach Hebrew, right? Where it was very Ashkenazi centric. Mm-hmm. Now the pronunciation is more Sephardic centric, which is also different from other groups of Jews around the world, like specifically like Temani, right? It also has the O in places where we pronounce it as ah. But we also have it in the nonprofit world, how we look at leadership, what kinds of people have access to education and leadership opportunities, who has the patience for certain people in their system, and who is seen as valuable versus who is seen as disposable.
Elaborate on that. I know what you're saying, being someone who works in the nonprofit, but you elaborate on that.
So when I'm in, let me back up so I have a good start instead of the so,
Okay.
or as we say in Philly,
So
there's this Pennsylvania O. I'll get into
Okay.
that after our recording ends. I see a lot of clients who want now to engage or walk down a racial justice path, but they don't have the tools to actually hold multiple cultures, right? They don't have the tools to hold the people who embody those cultures.
Okay.
They don't have a sense of or a will to change certain fundamental things. And understand, changing fundamentals is hard work. Mm-hmm. It is hard work. It's like trying to change your fundamental inside of a language, right?
Okay.
And adding a totally different vernacular.
Right.
At the same time, people need to do that when it comes to racial justice. Mm-hmm. And that also means taking a good hard look at your structure, but also a good hard look at yourself. And I find that people want to do one or the other. There are more people who want to do both at the same time, right? This isn't like the what was the Padma Lakshmi quote, you can have it all, you just can't have it all at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But that is true. People, I always say it starts with self.
Yes.
Starts with self. Otherwise, to me, it's meaningless. If you're not going to change the core of who you are, then you're just spouting.
Yeah. And we also have to have checkpoints and people who check us, and people who remind us of things. I have that in my life. I have some friends who will check me rather hard,
Leave bruises?
Yeah, bruises and all. And I'm just like, thank you. Because I have that type of relationship with people, right? And you can't do any type of journey alone. No one really even learned a language alone, right? Nope. You had parents, you had other people, you have friends, you have language that you learn from your peers.
Right.
You didn't learn this all on your own. That's a myth. Just like anything else in life. And so we must apply that to anti-racism work. And anti-racism work isn't just white people learning to be anti-racist. It's also people of color learning about how white supremacy manifests in our bodies, how it manifests in our minds, how we interact with other people of color who might have a different shade or might have a different ethnicity and still the same shade. All of those things combine. So when we have training, when we hire facilitators or coaches or consultants, one of the first things I ask people is, what do you do to check yourself? What's your system?
Right.
Who are your people who keep you accountable?
Right. Yeah. Jared, it was interesting that when you said about this work is also for Jews of color. I'm probably paraphrasing you. People of color. I'm trying to paraphrase, because that really hit with me because we forget that there's work to be done among us too. I feel that sometimes we tend to say it is about white people. It is about white Jews. It is about them coming correct, becoming, acting right, and forgetting that we have stuff too. And I remember I was actually kind of cocky about, unconscious bias. And I'm good. I'm Black. How could I possibly have any unconscious bias? Right. That was the space that I was, that's what I was thinking. So I did one of those, quickie, I Googled something, how to assess your unconscious bias thing. I thought, let me just see, because no way. When it was done, I was like, I need some help. I need some training, because I kind of failed it. And I recognized it gave me pause for thought, Jared. I sat back and I was like, well, of course I hold these biases. Look where I grew up. Look at the environment around me. I grew up really in a time where I was the only Black kid in every single setting up until like grade 10 in high school. Okay. You couldn't find a doll that looked like me when I was growing up. The people on TV that looked like me were kind of just a step above the Step and Fetch It characters. There was hair products. They were all not about me. So I naturally entrenched that, white things are better. Straighten your hair. Do this, do that, without recognizing it, or, even colorism.
Yeah. I mean, all of that is real. All of that is real. I mean, I grew up in a predominantly African-American community, which used to be predominantly Jewish, like Ashkenazi, different, how those migrations happen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So even there, white skin was considered great, even though there were lots of like Black Pride celebrations and all that. I was reminded recently that I went to a number of Juneteenth barbecues and I had no idea. I thought they were just barbecues. With
a really interesting title.
Yeah. Well, or they didn't say what the title was. It just so happened to be
on that date.
Yeah.
It's barbecue day.
Oh yeah, it's barbecue day. But even I go through anti-bias training 2-3 times a year, because I have to keep myself in check with different things. My brain works where I try to get everything down to a yes or no question, and that takes a very long time. So really? Just to talk about that for a second, and then I'll loop back into the nonprofit world.
Yes.
For a long time, I was really against patrilineal descent. As liberal as I am, even though I only spent like 1 year in Hebrew school, right? And there's a lot to unpack there, but basically didn't continue on with Hebrew school because of institutionalized racism. But I was always taught, your mother's Jewish, that means you're Jewish, right? And then I had to wrestle with myself for a long time in my childhood, because when I saw people who had like a Jewish dad and a mom of another religious tradition or no religious tradition, that I didn't really consider them Jewish, and then all of a sudden, like, it whittled down for me, leading up to actually the start of Jews in All Hues, where I was like, this person has just as much Jewish heritage as I do. How dare I?
What a way to spin it.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of true. It's not even kind of true. It is true.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way, because I too was raised with that same thing. It's interesting though, I have to say, when you mentioned patrilineal, what I do find interesting is the way that the Jewish media treats patrilineal. And by this, I mean, when we have somebody like, what's that guy's name? Adam Levine, who is a patrilineal Jew. They always say that our Jewish media will say Adam Levine, the Jew. Okay. Then you'll have somebody on the other side, a Drake, who is matrilineally Jewish. And they refer to him as either half Jewish, or they say Jewish ancestry. And I'm like, I started to watch this trend, this pattern.
Well, for
that
them, it's Jewish equals white. So
Exactly.
as long as you have some other type of white in there, you can just mix it up and then pretend it never happened. Or it's funny that you mentioned celebrities because there's a lot of debate, just in general around celebrities. I mean, one of my questions is, have you even asked the celebrities themselves if they consider themselves Jewish?
Point number
Right?
one.
Number one, I mean, people bring up Lenny Kravitz all the time, so let's go there.
Yes.
Lenny Kravitz fully recognizes his Jewish heritage, connects with it, but he also was ostracized in Hebrew school. He also had a really tenuous relationship with his father, right, who was the Jewish representative of the family, right? And he went to Christianity. We have to recognize that Judaism itself is beautiful, but a lot of the people who practice it also practice white supremacy, right? And that has become part of the religion, even though it's not really part of the religion,
Yes.
right? To enact white supremacy is actually to go against Judaism, because white supremacy also includes anti-Semitism, and
Yes.
racism and anti-Semitism are one of the biggest fuel tanks for white supremacy. And we have a duty to uproot both of them at the same time.
Absolutely.
Right.
Jared, do you think some of the reason that the community also struggles with when we say to them, we have a problem with white supremacy in our community? Do you find, at least this is how I feel, I think that they have a problem because of the words. I think they immediately go to KKK. They immediately go to what? Because they figure white supremacy equals wearing a pointy hat and a pointy white
or flannel
hat.
or whatever.
And that's what they think. And it's like, no, that's not. Those are some white supremacists, probably the extreme of, but that isn't the only definition of white supremacy. It's not the KKK alone or Nazis.
Yeah,
I
mean, the white supremacy a lot of people think of, like when they hear it, yes, it rings a bell. That's the minority, right? That's the very small minority that will come out of their faces, come out of their homes with that, right? What's much worse is the people who deny it and act as though everything they do is great and don't see anything wrong with the things that they do that impact the lives of people of color negatively. Also, and this is something not a lot of people think about, and this is something I find a lot in Christianity around a reward system for doing something for so long that you will get a reward. So suffering for so long and then you will be rewarded.
Okay.
Or doing certain work so long and then you will get some type of amazing extrinsic and intrinsic prize.
Okay.
Right? The prize for getting or moving anti-racism work forward is not people of color going on their knees and thanking you.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that.
And that might be like an internal thing that's in your subconscious rumbling around, but I've actually heard people express utter disappointment that they got to a certain level of relationship with a person of color and that person hadn't thanked them for their work.
Dang. Okay. So yeah, trying not to blow up. You do see bits of that when, during the aftermath of George Floyd's murder, when I would hear people say, similar to what you're saying, phrased differently about, well, look at all that we've done for them.
Right.
Look at all that we've done for them. We marched with Martin Luther King Jr. We did this. Look at all we've done. I almost hear, look at all we've done for those people. That's what I sometimes hear, because that's how I translate.
Yeah, people in Jewish circles will say that explicitly, like all we've done for you people. You're ungrateful. You're thankless. How dare you? We came out of our homes to do this, and it's like, where are your values? right? Doing something because you think you're going to get rewarded, trying to make the world better because you think that you are going to get rewarded on top of all the benefits that you've received from white supremacy. That's also white supremacy, right? That's continuing a cycle.
Right.
That's not closing the cycle. That's not stretching it out, breaking it, making it into a road that we can go down. It's still putting yourself above the people who are directly impacted by white supremacy and that type of white supremacy, right? It would be like me. It would be like me opening the door for someone at the Sears Roebuck, but opening the door for somebody at a department store. Let's say a woman, a cis woman, or even a trans woman, right? And they walk through, and then I say, "You're not going to say thank you?"
Oh gosh, that's happened to me. Where people have said that to me, I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
aren't you doing it to be kind?
In the door because it takes a little bit of burden off of them.
Yeah.
And because you want to do it, don't expect to be thanked.
Exactly. That's not why you're doing it, I would think, is to get that thank you. You're doing it because they needed it.
Right.
Whatever reason. Or just because.
When we pray, do we ask God to thank us every time we pray to God? Right? Yeah. Not to say that any of us are God, but why do we pray? Right? I know that's a big existential question, but do we do it because there's a reward, or do we do it because we're commanded to do it, or do we do it for some other reason? Right? There could be as many reasons as there are people in the world. But why do we do it? People will say that, we march with Martin Luther King. Who's the we?
It ain't them. Because most of them that are saying it are usually younger than me or in the same age group. And I'm thinking to myself, so you were marching when you were a newborn? So I know.
Show me your booties. Yeah. They called it Bloody Sunday, not Booty Sunday. Baby booty. That's what I mean.
I know what you meant. Yeah, no, but it's true. It's like, I remember saying to somebody when that came up, because I actually found it exceedingly frustrating to hear that. It, like I said, was that just last year to hear it over and over again? Yeah, we march. And finally I said, first of all, you didn't do the marching. And I said, and the ones who actually went out on the limb suffered within the Jewish community. They weren't supported by the Jewish community, the Jews who went out and did
pariahs.
That. Exactly. And I said, and thirdly, you don't get credit for their work in perpetuity. You do your own work. You get off your own butt. You do your own stuff, and you do it. Yeah, I'm gonna dial it back, Rivka. Dial it back.
I mean, many clergy and many activists have talked about the expense of doing good work. Think of that time as a bank account, right? The dozens or maybe hundreds, I don't know, let's say dozens of Jews that went down in the Freedom Rides and marched with MLK, did the work behind closed doors. Let's talk about that for a second, or maybe in a minute. Because doing that inside of the halls of Congress and all, and in the White House and in state houses across the country, in living rooms across the country, that was deep work that no one saw on television.
Yes.
Right. And all of that was a deposit. All that blood, sweat, and tears, all the people we lost, that was a deposit. And people in mass have been drawing from that account for over half a century.
Yes.
And it was depleted within a year. And we just keep drawing from it, thinking that it's endless, like somebody who just got their first credit card, right? And has no idea on how to manage money, or doesn't realize that they actually need to pay it back.
Right.
Right. So we are at a severe deficit morally. There's that meme going around, we're not asking you, I'm gonna butcher this, I really am.
Yeah,
but we're not asking you to take credit for slavery or take full responsibility for slavery, but we are telling you that you need to dismantle the system.
I saw that.
You benefit.
I saw that meme just a couple of days ago.
Right.
Yeah, you kind of butchered it, but the intent is there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. We're not saying that you are responsible for what your ancestors did, but you are responsible for dismantling the system, kind of.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's something that it's always thrown in our face. Well, I didn't do it. Why are you holding me accountable for what my family did or whatever, X, Y, and Z? No, but we're saying we're holding you accountable to dismantle what they did. Going back to what you say, how you thoughtfully consider who you send out for training to do the training, and how you're doing something that a lot of groups should be doing, is pausing and thinking about, first of all, thinking about who you are standing in front of, and understanding and recognizing that people do process things differently based upon the skin they're in, or the walk that they walk, or what they hear with.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. It's something that I try to think about, but sometimes I don't. But I try to think about it. There are some lanes that I never go in, even though people say, yeah, but, and I said, for example, one, it's very simple, may sound weird, but when people start to talk about children of dual heritage, like my children who are biracial, and I say to them, I said, I can't speak for the world that my children walk in, because I am not biracial.
Yeah.
So it's for them to say, or it's for them to say, no, Mom, that's not how we see it. It's not for me to say. Stay in my lane, even though the world would say, yeah, but y'all are brown, but I'm not their brown.
I mean, I will probably get in trouble for saying this, but there are a lot of POC organizations that are run by white moms. And they're the ones that I know of, and the executive directors and founders that I've spoken to. Mm-hmm. Some of them have a notion of ownership over other people of color because their kids are people of color, and they feel like they have a level of ownership over the kids. Mm-hmm. I was raised by a white mom. My mom is white. My mom does not own me. I know it's almost sacrilege for a nice Jewish boy to say, but my mom knows this. I'm my own person,
Absolutely. And she can't speak for you, and she can't speak for the walk that you're walking.
Yeah.
Just because she happened to raise a child of color.
Yeah. And she will say that herself, because mom is very blunt. And yeah, that's how I was raised, even if it took a while to catch up to the lesson to speak for myself.
Right. No, I sat next to somebody once at a kiddush, or if the preferred pronunciation, kiddush, and we were having a conversation all around, racial justice, equity, and this and that. And she started to speak as if she was a person of color. And I turned to her and I said, you can't speak to that. And she said, but my children are. I said, that's your children are. You are not.
Right.
And I said, you do not see the world through your children's eyes, so you cannot speak for them, full stop.
So yeah, I have to be mindful of who I send to any particular community or in front of any particular person. I mean, there's Da lifnei mi ata omed, right? Know before whom you stand. Yes. You do have to know that, right? You do have to think long and hard about that. You also have to charge well, right?
Yes.
So I get called for lots of speaking gigs for, these big conferences sometimes, and they don't want to pay anything to hear, but they just want the lessons, right?
They want to take it for free, which is
and that's hurting. That's continued harm, right?
Of course, it's continued harm, and they don't.
I don't care if the person you're asking to speak is a person of color who makes $1 million a year.
Doesn't matter. There's
still a power structure at play, right? And I have a shirt downstairs that I will never wear again. I only wore it once as a joke, but it says, "I'm not white, I'm Jewish."
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I wore it because I was like, I think I was feeling slim that day, but I also wanted to give a statement because the person who made it, I'm like, how are you going to say that standing next to me?
Exactly.
In a synagogue, how are you going to say you're not white? But what does that make me? Right. And I mean, that person like never got it to this day. And
Yeah.
this was like probably 10 years ago.
Oh.
But inside of Jewish space, if you are a white Jew, you're a white Jew, right? And you can push back all you want and say that you're not white in the grand scheme of America or grand scheme of North America or South America or the world. But still, like, if you walk down the street, chances are somebody with yoga pants is not going to call the police on you.
Somebody's yoga pants.
If I walk down the street, chances are that person with yoga pants is going to call the police on me from 4 blocks away. And say that I'm a dangerous criminal or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe even they're like a lighter skinned person of color, right? Because you and I have spoken about certain people who have called me like a dangerous black man to funders and all, just getting back the headwinds for a second.
Yes.
There are, and this person is also a person of color. And I'm sorry, a Jew of color. But like there are ways in which we act towards certain people based off of our biases, right? I have meetings with our quote unquote staff, like our contractors at times, right? Because like I'm the only actual staff person, everyone else is a private contractor. Okay. And I hope to change that really soon. And we go and have arguments, right? And some of the white folks who are in these meetings, like, jump back for a second. They're like, what? They're arguing. Like, and they see arguing as a bad thing. And let me just be clear. The white people are also Jews.
Okay.
All right. And then, like, we're going at it, and then at the end, it's like, I really love and respect you. Thank you. And then we'll like have lunch or something like that, like if it's in person. And then some of the white Jews are like, wow, we thought you two hated each other. It's like, no, we can separate some things. We might be really against one thing or another, but in the end, we're holding some basis of humanity, right? And I think that's something that needs to be put into the system more, or put into training and put into journeys more, is that we're trying to build up a sense of humanity in other people that we see.
Right.
And it's not for those people. They are already human. It's for us trying to deprogram how we dehumanize other human beings based off of, I'm almost about to curse.
You know what? There was a curse word in my head. Because I was like, based off of bleep.
Yes.
Bleep.
Yes, based off of white supremacy, based off of the dehumanization that we have also received, and the target. And the more we can do that, I think the further along we're going to get on a lot of things.
Absolutely. So, Jared, let me ask you this as we wrap up. What are the next steps for Jews in All Hues? I know I would desperately love to merge my organization with yours, but that's a whole other topic. So you can conquer North America. But
Jews in All Hues International.
Exactly.
I like the sound of that.
Let me just leave that little nugget there. But no, really, what are the next steps for Jews in All Hues? What are the next steps for you, Jared?
Well, those are two separate things, I think.
Absolutely. They could easily be.
So the future of Jews in All Hues is one that is filled with people, just like any good movement or organization. Not just volunteers, but staff. We're often told that we can do this work unfunded, but other people who are not people of color get fully funded to do this work. So I'm working towards a sea chain to go around and to go through traditional systems so that we can get to the point where we're not just doing consulting, right? Because that is an outward thing that is mostly teaching white people in particular to be anti-racist, but really to do more of the internal work of having spaces and programming for Jews of color families, multiracial families, or monoracial. I don't know, there are a lot of ways to be Jewish.
Yeah, right? Yes, indeed.
Also, having that space where we can connect with more POC groups, connect with more POC movements, also show people outside the Jewish community what Jewish looks like through speaking engagements and all that. And so that's going to take a lot of work. That's going to take more board members, more volunteers, definitely more donors.
Yes.
Like I'll tell you, we've gotten some donors that have broken the 3-digit mark, right? In the past few years, and some who have broken the 5-digit mark, and that's good.
But you need ongoing.
We need ongoing support. You know, we need to have grant systems that aren't based off of fully funded organizations, right?
Right.
You know, the whole money begets money.
Yes.
And entrepreneurial ventures that don't require 5 full staff members in order to be considered worthy enough to learn.
Okay. Wow.
That's one headwind
Yeah.
that I'm currently facing. I got an email the other day, from an organization that said, we would love for you to join, but you need to have X amount of people. I'm like, why? Or even thought of, right? So it's either we do things for ourselves, and we do things for ourselves. We raise money to help people stay in their homes under the radar,
Right.
We have a number of coaching hours for Jews of color in professional situations and outside of professional situations, that we just have free hours for people, right? People call us with different issues and all that, but we need so much more infrastructure in order to get to the point where we can fully serve our own people. And not just have it be fee for service.
Right.
Even though I love consulting. I love coaching. I just did a session yesterday for like a Jewish day camp conference. Right. Love it. I mean, I'm getting chills right now.
I can tell because your smile's getting wider and wider. Like you're like, yes.
Yes. And there's a wall, right? There's a wall at a certain point for me personally and for our crew where we need to do things for ourselves. We need to re-energize, even if it's putting in much more work to get conferences together and all that. But here's the thing, like most of the people in our network are struggling financially.
Right.
So it's not like we have the means to infuse them with anything really, but it's also like a lot of people just don't have the means to spend $180 to go someplace, plus a hotel, plus this, that, and the other.
Agreed.
So that means we need to be stronger on our fundraising end. And I hope within the next 5 years that Jews and All Hues will have a training director, a development director, have a program director, and have somebody to work on graphic design and all that, so that we can create those educational materials, have those relationship with donors that is grassroots, but also in the foundation world.
Absolutely.
Right? And that we can have enough to, like, if somebody really needs some help to stay in their home or to bury a loved one. As far as myself, right now I'm focusing solely on Jews and All Hues.
Okay.
To get us really up and running and sustainable in a way that we haven't been before. But I'm also thinking that like one of the things I really want to do is be in a position to move funds to people who are really worthy of those funds, and that also means like in one way or another being a gatekeeper. I'm gonna be explicit about that, but I really want to help make movement in the philanthropic world, and not create a bottleneck. This is something I put my life's blood into, and I know, just as somebody who is keenly aware of I know before whom I stand, and that also means the whole field, that there is going to come a time when this organization will grow past me or needs a different direction, right? And I want to be upfront about that. I'm not planning to stay around forever. One place where I want to see Jews and All Hues continue to rise to the occasion is the celebration of us, right? Because Jews and All Hues was really founded on a sense of celebrating
us.
Our intersections, us, yes,
us,
all of us. Even though I know there's one organization that translates to all of us, but
people are like, I wonder what that is. They're going through their Hebrew and they're like, anyways.
Yes. But really, like, I want to get to even more places of celebration. We have them. We have the high holy days, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes,
That
absolutely. Just celebrating, because I heard somebody use this term, celebrating Black Jewish joy.
Yeah, or Latinx Jewish joy.
Yeah, I just use that
Whatever
expression. Your joy
whatever
looks
your
like.
flavor.
Yes, whatever your joy looks like.
Yes.
Because ultimately, whatever your joy looks like, it's still Jewish joy. Well, thank you, Jared. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I will always have a huge soft spot, not just for you, but for Jews in All Hues, because really it was one of the first organizations for us and about us that I'd ever heard of. So for me, it was really eye-opening. And any way I can support you, I will. I ain't got millions of dollars, but anyway, I can support you, I will. But for those who are listening and want to know more about Jared's work with Jews in All Hues, literally just go to jewsinallhues.org and check out his page, reach out to Jared. Let's continue to support this amazing work that he's doing, because he's doing it really well, and he's doing it differently. His organization, in my opinion, is unique. Different perspective, different way of doing stuff, really effective. So thank you again, Jared.
Thank you.
I'm going to wear my t-shirt tomorrow here at work. So thank you. You take care, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Riv Kush. Our producer is Michael Freeman. Music by Westside Gravy, and I am Riv Kush. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more at thecjn.ca/RivKush and support us by subscribing. If you want to support the CJN, join the CJN Circle. You get quarterly magazines, invitations to live events, and a weekly printable edition. Learn more at thecjn.ca/circle. Thanks for listening.
The Limmud Toronto Festival takes place on Sunday, November 21st. Limmud features educators, performers, authors, activists, and innovators from around the world. The Limmud Festival of Jewish Learning celebrates creativity, diversity, inclusivity, and discussion. Everyone is welcome. All tickets to Limmud are pay what you can. Learn more at limmud.ca.